Today we are going to do a class regarding the monopoly market. Our last finished our perfect competition. We have seen different situations of perfect competition. Today we are going to start the different situation and different market equilibrium under monopoly condition. Your presenter is Andy Mazharul Islam, lecturer economics, Manikganj Government Women's College. Let us see what is monopoly. Monopoly is a situation where there is only one seller and so many buyers. So in a monopoly, the seller has exclusive control of supply or trade in a commodity or a chapter 4 from first paper, and our class is mainly concentrated on the equilibrium in the monopoly market in different situations. Have the concept of monopoly market. Later you will know the equilibrium condition in monopoly markets during normal profit, supernormal profit and loss. You will be also able to know the deadweight loss in the monopoly, and finally you will learn how long the loss can be occurred by the firm. Our last class, there we have differentiated different types of market under competition. In the world of competition, there's a degree of competition where the most competitive situation is arised. The situation is called perfect competition, and the least competitive example is a monopoly. That is, the monopoly is a situation where the lowest degree of competition among the buyers and sellers are available. The monopolistic competition, oligopoly, these are among the most competitive and least competitive situations. Let me demonstrate how monopoly works. Previously I said a monopoly is a situation where there is only one seller and so many buyers. Let us demonstrate a situation where there are only one seller and one buyer. And in this situation, what will you think? Is the seller control the market or buyer control the market? The answer is equal. Both of buyers and seller has win-win situation. So both have the control over each other. If the situation changes by a little bit, increasing a buyer, what will happen then? The number of seller is not rise there, and the number of buyers has raised from 1 to 2. So the seller have the previous control over the buyer, but buyer have losing some control, because in this time the buyer have to fight with the seller, and also he has to fight with the another buyer. And what will happen if we increase the number of buyers? In this time we can see the seller will get more convenience position where he can manipulate three buyer, but buyers have to fight each other and a seller. So a buyer have no option other than one seller, but a seller has three other options of selling his products. And those as we increase the number of buyers, the control over the market by the seller will be increased and the control of buyers will be reduced. And a monopoly is a situation where the seller is has the sole ownership over the market, and since there are so many buyers, every buyer has to fight with each other to purchase only one product, and he has only one alternative, and thus a seller have the full control over the buyer. So let us deceive the definition of monopoly. So a monopoly is a market structure in which there is only one single supplier of a product. In monopoly, the firm that has a sole ownership is called monopolist. So a monopolist either be small or large. It doesn't fact whether the firm is small or large, since in the monopolist there is only one producer. Monopolist itself is a industry, and in the monopolistics in the monopoly market there must be a one supplier of the product, and they sell the product which there are no close substitute. In the real world, we can find several examples of monopoly, not only US but also in almost every country. There is only one postal authorities, and if we look at the other utility companies of a country, for example, Suarez, power supply, telephone, cable, you will find there is only one seller among the number of buyers. So in these situations, we can find so many types of monopoly in the real world. So now we can demonstrate the different features of monopoly over this bubble diagram. In a monopoly, the monopolist itself is an industry. Since there is no producer or supplier of this particular product, the only sole firm is acting like an industry. And why he is stated as a price maker, since there is no competitor, the price will be determined by the monopolist. How can he determine the price of the monopolist? Because there is a lack of competition. What makes the lack of competition? The barriers to entry. And usually in monopoly market, the demand curve is downward sloping, and most importantly, the product feature of the monopoly is very different from others. There is no close substitutes of the product of a monopolist. And finally, a monopolist have full control over the supply. So now we can demonstrate the definition of the monopoly in a nutshell. A monopoly market is a market where there are only one seller and many buyers. So looking for the main feature of a monopoly market, firstly, the firm is a price maker, and secondly, the monopolist has full control over the market. How can they ensure the price making and full control over the market? Because in monopoly market, the producer is only one who are the sole ownership of the producing of the product. So what kind of product nature of these are, there are no close substitutes to the product, and in a monopoly market there are definitely barriers to entry. And finally, demand curve of in a monopoly market is usually and what we saw, the demand curve in the perfect competition, as we said, the demand curve was just horizontal to the just parallel to the horizontal axis. And in the perfect competition, the price line, the average revenue line, and the marginal revenue line is identical. But in the monopoly market, the marginal revenue and average revenue curve is downward sloping, and marginal revenue curve lies between the average revenue curve and the So let us check the conditions of market equilibrium. As we checked before, the first condition is known as necessary condition, which states marginal curve is equal to marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue, and the second one is known as sufficient condition, which states that marginal cost curve should intersect the marginal revenue curve from below. So So, under the monopoly market, we can say there is some deadweight loss, which makes is a market failure. The competitive, in presence of competitive, the deadweight loss will be gain for the society. Let us see the difference between the perfect competition and monopoly in a while. Um, at the left part, we are uh, watching a perfect competition equilibrium condition, and the right part we are observing the monopoly market equilibrium. And here we find the main differences is the demand curve. Under the perfect competition, the demand curve is just parallel to the horizontal curve, and demand curve, price line, average revenue and marginal revenue all are identical. On the other hand, in competition, the demand curve is acting as average revenue line, and the market equilibrium quantity in perfect competition will be determined by the marginal cost and the marginal revenue, and the intersection between the mentioned two curve is shown as the equilibrium quantity. On the other hand, in the monopoly market, the MC and MR both are determining the market quantity, it's true, but the price will be determined by the average revenue curve, and the extended part from the Q, the monopoly price will be shown by the average revenue curve. So let us move to the other differences. Let us see the main differences between perfect competition and the monopoly market. First, consider the numbers of buyers and sellers, where in the perfect competition market, both the number of buyers and numbers of sellers are unlimited. On the other hand, in monopoly market, although the numbers of buyers are unlimited, but the numbers of sellers are only one. Secondly, in the perfect competition, both buyers and sellers have full knowledge regarding the market. On the other hand, in perfect competition, it is very difficult to enter into the market. The product's nature feature, considering the product nature feature in the perfect competition, the products are homogeneous in nature. On the other hand, there are no close substitutes available under the monopoly market. And overall, the society is not get benefited from the monopoly market system. In contrast, in perfect competition, it is suitable for social welfare. That's all from today. We will see our next class, and in our next class we will see the different conditions of monopoly market condition, and whether in the monopoly market condition the firm can earn supernormal profit or not, whether under the monopoly market the producer get loss, and how does loss he will tolerate. And if you like the classes, please subscribe my channel and make your comments under, and don't forget to see our next class. Thank you. Goodbye.